This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's get back to it. Baltimore, you've got a big TV taping, and man, something big happens here. I want to talk about this. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and Tully are going to beat David Isley and two unknowns in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Flair is going to get the submission with the figure four, go to commercial, and we come back, and there's David Crockett holding the microphone, doing an interview with all you guys. And Flair says that he wants the NWA Western States Heritage Champion Barry Windham to be their fourth member. And then Luger jumps in the ring, challenges any of the Horsemen to face him. Windham then joins Luger in the ring, and the question is raised at the end of the show as it's going off the air, which side Windham was on. This is great stuff. I just watched this, I guess last year, maybe year before, but the story you're doing here is phenomenal. To recap, the original Horseman, of course, included Ole Anderson. Tully makes a comment about that snot-nosed kid, and you weren't taking care of business. Ole's out. Now we're looking for a new member. Lex Luger says, I want it to be me, until he didn't. And so when he didn't want to play ball and jump out of that battle royal to allow JJ to win, the Horsemen are done with him. He got maybe too ambitious, and he wasn't playing his role. And so now Flair just comes out and says, I want Barry Windham. Now, before we talk about the angle, because we're going to get there later in the month, did you have any sort of say, if that's the right word, any sort of creative, any input as to who the other member would be? Is that a Rick decision? Is that a Crockett decision? Or is it just done collectively?
That would have been ultimately a Jimmy Crockett decision. But, you know, when you first see it, you go, oh, that could never happen, because Barry was such a polarizing babyface.
Yeah.
You know, that's who he was. But then you think about it and you go, hey, this guy is as talented as anybody in the business. Don't know if he could work heel, could be a heel, but boy, does he have. One thing is undeniable. He has got incredible talent and skills. And it was one of you talking about the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge what if. Wow. What if Barry Windham joined these guys?
Well, we're going to talk about it, but before we do, Lex Luger is going to beat Gary Royal by submission with the torture rack in just a minute. And afterwards, Bob Caudle and JR are at ringside, and they're discussing the Dream Match Sweepstakes. It's going to begin in February. Fans have the option to pick the match they want to see by sending in a letter, and there's thousands of dollars in prizes they're going to be giving away, blah, blah, blah. But then he does a ringside interview with Luger about leaving the Horseman and now facing the challenge of Arn Anderson. So this same show, we're going to hear from the Horseman, and Flair's essentially just spending the whole promo mocking Lex Luger for not being able to hold the NWA US title. Meanwhile, Arn, Tully, and I, we're the only champions in wrestling that matter. What do you think of the separation in the build of the Lex Luger turn so far?
I think it was okay. I mean, I got to remember, you had to protect Lex. Lex was green, very green. You couldn't put him out there and give him too much TV time and too much stuff to talk about. You couldn't put him in matches with guys that didn't know how to feature him, because he was very green in the business at that time.
The next time we're going to see these guys is going to be the television taping that happens on January 6th. But before we get there, you guys did a spot show in Albany, Georgia, a special little promotion. First 500 kids 12 and under get in for $1 if the ticket was purchased the day of the show. It's Hayes and Garvin against Anderson and Blanchard. Saw that a lot in December. That train will continue here in January. But then the TV taping, back when we're doing our WTBS thing, we're going to have Sting beat Lee Peak with the Scorpion Deathlock in 27 seconds. And afterwards, he's doing an interview with Sting, talking about him teaming with Barry Windham to go after Ric Flair and the Tag Team Champions of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. This is interesting because this is the era where we start to see the rise of Sting and at the same time, the rise of Lex Luger. And a lot of folks, historians, newsletter writers, et cetera, they've been of the opinion. And I think once upon a time, Rick even wrote this in his book, maybe not in the exact words, that he felt like he helped make Lex Luger and Sting. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
You know, Rick made everybody that he ever worked with. I don't think there's any doubting that. He would push guys to time in the ring that they didn't know they were capable of. He would chop the piss out of them, which would piss most of them off if they had any metal, and it made them fight him back, which gave them a set. He did a lot in the ring for guys that, unless you knew what you were looking at, you really didn't even realize it. And then when it was all said and done, you went, wow, Rick created that guy. He made an opponent. And when you're the world champion for as long as he was, that was your job. It wasn't about going in. You didn't see Rick power slamming guys and muscling guys around and eating guys up and all that. You saw him in there featuring what they could do well and what he could do well for him. And that was the world champion's job. And he was the best at it.
No doubt about it.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.